Hi guys, my name is Oliver, and today we're going to take a look at another horrible case with you. A wedding is one of the most eagerly anticipated and heartfelt events in every woman's life. But not all dreams of happiness end with the fairy tale ending of, they lived happily ever after and died on the same day. Today, we find ourselves in Somerset, England. This part of southwest England is famous for its well-preserved medieval castles, ancient towns, and legends of King Arthur. But these aren't the only legends that shroud the modern county. On the morning of September 12, 2012, a local resident named Orlando was rushing home after a long night shift at a gas station. He had promised his wife he would take their little daughter, Maria, to daycare. Loud music played in the car to keep him awake as trees along the road swiftly passed by, one after another. Another coming out of a sharp turn, he saw black smoke. Orlando slowed down. Smoke was billowing from a nearby parking lot where a car was engulfed in flames. Orlando stopped and ran to take a closer look, but he couldn't get close because of the fire. 4 minutes later, when the firefighters arrived at the scene, the car was completely burnt out. The arriving police cordoned off the area with safety tape to keep the gathering onlookers at a distance. The place was quite deserted so early in the morning, and there were no witnesses nearby who could describe the incident's exact moment. Upon examining the scene, a charred body was discovered. The police had to identify the victim and determine the causes of this dreadful death. There were no signs of a car accident or skid marks found nearby. Likewise, no tire tread marks from another vehicle were found. A car self-ignition or spontaneous combustion due to malfunctions became the police's initial theory. A lengthy investigation and multiple expert analyses were ahead. The remains were transported to the forensic laboratory to determine the identity and cause of death of the deceased. Fragments of the burned vehicle were also delivered to the forensic laboratory to identify any malfunctions and establish the cause of the fire. The police began their investigation by checking the missing persons database and recent reports of disappearances. Forensic experts quickly identified the deceased. She was a 23-year-old local resident, Catherine Wells. On the same day, a report of a missing person was filed by Raphael Novak concerning the disappearance of the young woman. According to Raphael Novak's report, he left for work at 5:30 am while his girlfriend, Catherine, was still sleeping soundly at home. They worked for the same company. His shift started 2 hours earlier. When Catherine did not show up for work after this time, and Raphael couldn't find her at any of her relatives, he contacted the police. The investigation commenced. The police interviewed the victim's parents and sister, as well as Raphael Novak, who reported her missing, and all her colleagues and friends. Gradually, by piecing together information about the last days and subsequently the years of the young woman's life, they managed to reconstruct a sequence of events that led to her tragic demise. Catherine Wells Barr was born in 1989 to Phil and Jane Wells Barr in the United Kingdom. She was the second child in her family, with an older sister named Lynn. During the summer of 2010, while on a university break, Catherine met one of the employees, 31-year-old Raphael Novak, on a new vacuum cleaner production line. The tall, ruggedly handsome blonde quickly caught Catherine's eye. He was an immigrant from Poland, with a former wife and son back home. About 4 years prior, he had moved to England in search of a better life. Catherine and Raphael soon started dating. Initially, they met for lunch at the cafe on the production site, but these lunches quickly turned into romantic dinners. Raphael courted Catherine beautifully, gifting her lovely bouquets, taking her to movies, and going for walks. Raphael opened up to Catherine, sharing his past life and reasons for moving to the UK. Catherine's trusting heart let the blonde man in completely. Their relationship progressed so swiftly that within a few months, Catherine introduced Raphael to her parents. They joyfully welcomed their daughter's choice into the family, hopeful for the couple's future happiness. Soon, the lovers were planning their wedding. In 2011, Catherine graduated with honors from Bath Spa University and landed a promising job as a business analyst at Pneumatic International, the company that manufactures Henry vacuum cleaners. She quickly advanced in her career, providing good job opportunities for her parents and sister. Catherine was intelligent and well-educated. She always knew how to approach people, was concerned with her colleagues' problems, and was very attentive to those around her. Her kind gaze and radiant smile endeared her to people, who held the young leader in high regard. Catherine Wells Barr's career was on a fast track to success. Her substantial earnings, combined with those of her partner Raphael Novak, allowed them to purchase a spacious home with a terrace in Willow Way. Despite their financial well-being, the house was bought on a mortgage, for which the young couple secured insurance coverage as per their agreement with the bank. Youth, successful careers, and love, it seemed they had everything needed for happiness. Yet, the fateful day of September 12, 2012 marked a dividing line in their lives, changing everything from before to after. The investigation pressed on, uncovering new and unfamiliar facts about the lives of Catherine and Raphael. Over time, the veil of deceit, the shadow that had enveloped their relationship from the start, began to lift. 29-year-old Raphael Novak left behind a wife and child in Poland, fleeing to escape significant debts. He relocated to the UK, where he met Anna Lagvanovich. Since 2008, they maintained a close relationship. Then Catherine came into the picture. For a while, Raphael saw both women, but ultimately he chose Catherine Wells Barr, seeing her as a more viable option for a family and financial stability. While Catherine genuinely dreamed of a happy marriage with the man she loved and starting a family, Novak was plotting a scheme to end her life, intending to leave himself and his mistress, Anna Lagvanovich, with the life insurance payout and the large house, a significant portion of the funds for which had been contributed by Catherine. The plot of this crime was meticulously planned and executed with even greater cruelty and cold-bloodedness. On the day of her disappearance, after waiting a few hours, Raphael approached Catherine's boss to inquire about her whereabouts. He feigned sincere panic and despair in front of Catherine's colleagues and relatives. Catherine was not found at her parents' home nor at her own. Her car was missing as well. Raphael recalled that she had been receiving threatening letters from a certain mentally unstable admirer for some time. Following this, her family contacted the police. The family was in the living room of the young couple's house, awaiting her return, when they were informed that a burning car with a body inside had been found. Raphael mentioned that the evening before her disappearance was entirely normal. The couple had gone for a walk after work, stopped by a store for groceries, had dinner, and then went to bed together after watching some television. Catherine did not appear scared or disturbed. However, a more detailed investigation proved that her death occurred earlier. Catherine was strangled around 2 a.m., likely in her own bed while she was sleeping. Her lifeless body was then placed in the car, taken a short distance from the house, and callously set on fire in an attempt to destroy evidence. Yet Raphael Novak had a solid alibi. He was at work from 5:30 a.m., and according to him, Catherine was asleep in bed when he left. The burning car was discovered between 6 o'clock and 7 a.m. However, Raphael was still at home at 1:30 a.m., significantly altering the case's direction. Thus, Raphael Novak became the prime suspect in the investigation. The murder of Catherine Wells Barr evidence allowed for Novak to be detained pending further investigation. Raphael claimed that Catherine was being pursued by a stalker who had repeatedly written to her and driven her to hysteria. During the investigation, it was revealed that Catherine indeed had accounts on several adult websites, indicating a hidden side of her life unknown to her close ones. Intimate photos and flirtatious exchanges with men were found, along with a letter from a secret admirer. However, no matter how long you try to twist the truth, it always comes to light. In an attempt to mislead the investigation and direct it towards a false trail, Raphael forgot to destroy the evidence proving his direct involvement in Catherine's demise. Importantly, this provided the prosecution with a motive. Upon examining Novak's phone, investigators discovered that he never ceased communication and meetings with Anna Lagvanovich. They actively met over the last few months. Additionally, it was found that the man had a financial interest as well. Shortly before Catherine's demise, they both insured their lives for a sum of £123,000. Catherine and Raphael were the sole beneficiaries of the insurance contracts and recipients of the payouts for each other. The receipt of a substantial life insurance sum emerged as the primary motive in the case regarding Catherine's demise and the arson of her car to confuse the investigation. Police discovered that on the day of her disappearance, Catherine sent a message to Anna Lagvanovich's phone. Also, surveillance cameras revealed that a few days before the crime, Anna, along with a relative, her uncle, filled a full canister of gasoline at a gas station. Thus, a third party became involved in the case. 32-year-old Anna Logvinovich and her 38-year-old uncle, Tadeusz Dimitryshin, became suspects in the complicity of intentional crime and arson to conceal evidence. The crime was meticulously planned over several months by the trio. They prepared thoroughly for the act, creating accounts on pornographic websites, uploading photoshopped images of Catherine, and fabricating and saving exchanges with various men, all to lead the investigation astray with a false trail. They didn't resist the irrefutable evidence for long. When Raphael and Anna realized it was futile to deny any longer, they started blaming each other. The man insisted that Anna, out of jealousy, devised and executed the plan to eliminate a rival. In contrast, she accused Novak of committing the crime out of greed, aiming to secure the insurance payout and the house. In an attempt to avoid exposure, the conspirators wove a web of heartless lies around an honest and joyful young woman. They posted her fake profiles on websites used by people looking for casual, intimate encounters. The conspirators went to great lengths to conceal their crime, not only setting her body ablaze, but also fabricating a completely false backstory for her. They aimed to portray Catherine as a promiscuous woman full of secrets and desires. They convincingly created the image of a mysterious lover who could have ended her life. One of the conspirators sent a text message from Wells' bar phone at 5:17 am on the day of her demise to this fictitious man, suggesting she was headed to meet him. However, forensic experts determined that when the fire started in the car, Catherine was wearing only her favorite nightgown, not the outfit she would have chosen for a meeting with a man. They discovered a pillow was missing from her bed, and the only pillowcase had been washed and was hanging on a clothesline, leading the police to believe she was suffocated in Anna Lovey's car. Detectives found a SIM card linked to the number Catherine was supposed to have texted that morning. In Lovey's apartment trash bin, they found notes she had written seeking inspiration for messages supposedly sent by the mysterious person. As soon as Novak and Lejnovic realized the game was up, they both claimed that Catherine's demise was the act of a hired criminal. A week before the trial began, Lovich asked a fellow inmate to secretly pass on a fake confession from an imaginary hitman who claimed Novak paid him £20,000 to end Catherine's life. The story penned by Elvanovich might have offered a chilling insight into what happened to their victim. According to this fictional hitman, Catherine's body was in the trunk of the car. Novak was very pleased that he ended Catherine's life, the supposed hitman wrote. I helped him place her in the driver's seat. Novak removed the tape from her mouth and put on her shoes. He buckled her seat belt and kissed her goodbye. At 6 a.m., I approached Catherine's car and, following Novak's instructions, set it on fire. Rafal Novak played the role of a loving boyfriend perfectly in the days leading up to Catherine's demise, holding hands and kissing her in front of family members. He told her mother Jane, I've lost my world. I've lost my future. Rafal Novak refused to acknowledge his involvement in the young woman's death and went further, telling her mother Jane Wells Barr that her daughter was receiving emails and text messages from an ex-boyfriend who said, if he couldn't have her, no one could. To complete the narrative, he even claimed she spoke of taking her own life. Worse still, Novak let the distraught Wells Barr parents comfort him, who believed he was also mourning the young woman he loved. Rafal's acting was so convincing that Catherine's mother Jane hugged him after her death and allowed him to call her mom. She said that after the police told her in the early days of the investigation that he was seen more as a witness than a suspect, she decided to offer him all the support possible. I thought if Catherine loved him that much and he was part of our family, then he deserved to come back. The lengthy trial commenced under the chairmanship of Justice Sharp. The jury heard during the trial that the three defendants hoped to receive a life insurance payout of £123,000 and half ownership of a two-bedroom home in Mangold, Somerset, valued at £137,000 following Catherine Wells Barr's death. The court was told that Rafal Novak showed no emotion when police discovered the woman's body in her burned car on the morning of September 12th. Anna Lagvinovich, who often shook her head and laughed on the defendant's bench when Novak suggested she was responsible for the crime, refused to take the witness stand. Dmitry Sheen also did not testify in his defense during the trial. Sharp told the defendants that the murder was a terrible, merciless crime, cold-bloodedly committed with a gross breach of trust. None of the three showed any emotion during the sentencing. Judge Justice Sharp sentenced the three Polish nationals to mandatory life sentences with a minimum of 32 years in prison without the possibility of early release. "You took the life of a beautiful young woman who had everything to live for, all for money," Sharp said. "Rafal Novak, the photos of you holding Catherine's hand the evening before her death, buying groceries for what you knew was her last dinner, are utterly chilling. Your emotions were directed only at yourself. Anna Lejnovic, your behavior was deceitful, manipulative, and cruel. You played your full part in this horrendous crime. And you, Dmitry Sheen, it was a murder for gain. There were substantial aggravating circumstances and no mitigating circumstances," the judge continued. "Many tears have been shed in this court, but the only tears anyone should shed are for Catherine and her family, her mother, Jane, father, Philip, and sister, Lynn." The judge expressed heartfelt sympathy for Catherine's parents. They could never have known that behind the facade presented to them by Rafal Novak was a person devoid of remorse and decency. "It was all about the money," the judge said. "Novak and Catherine had no ties binding them. They were not married, nor did they have children. The crime against Catherine was motivated by money, selfishness, and greed, while in the case of Anna Ivanovich, it stemmed from jealousy and a desire for revenge." At the request of the parents, Judge Justice Sharp read statements from Catherine's mother and sister. Her mother wept in the courtroom as her statement was read. It said, "Catherine was a caring, loving, sincere, generous, loyal, thoughtful, exceptional, and amazing young woman. She had a bright and promising future with so much potential. Philip and I were immensely proud of the young woman she had become. The manner of Catherine's passing, a cruel, calculated act of villainy, and the hatred shown to her, will haunt us for the rest of our lives. I never got the chance to say goodbye or tell her I love her, or for Catherine to say I love you, Mommy. Now, she considers Novak an evil person who should spend the rest of his life behind bars." Philip added, "We took him into our home. He became like a son and betrayed us all." During the trial, Rafal Novak, covered in tattoos, wept in the witness box, insisting he had no part in the demise of his true love. "A father of one who has a wife and a teenage son back in Poland," he told the jurors. "Everyone is blaming me for something I never did." The court heard that Novak showed no emotion when the police discovered Catherine Wells Barr's body in her burned car on the morning of September 12th last year. Her mother, Jane Wells Barr, told the jurors that he didn't even mention Catherine, instead asking for a steak dinner after his initial release from police custody. Mrs. Wells Barr said, "As soon as they bought a house together and took out a life insurance policy, her daughter's fate was sealed. I told the police her life had a bounty on it. Indeed, she had signed her own death warrant the moment she signed the mortgage. It was all over." Thus, 31-year-old Rafal Novak, a factory worker, was found guilty of the crime against his girlfriend, having suffocated her with a pillow while she slept. Afterward, he orchestrated a conspiracy with his secret lover and her uncle to claim a life insurance payout of £123,000 and a share in the house. His secret lover, 32-year-old Anna Ivanovich, and her uncle, 38-year-old Tavish Dmitry, transported Wells Barr's body in her car to a remote location and set it ablaze. It is believed that Ivanovich and Dmitry, who also lived in Taunton, took Wells Barr's body in her Ford Focus to a remote location 7 miles from the city. They set the car on fire at 6 a.m., by which time Novak was already at work, providing him with a solid alibi. The jurors of the Royal Court of Bristol found Rafal Novak, Anna Ivanovich, and Tavish Dmitry, all originally from Poland, guilty of the crime. The crime was the culmination of months of secret meetings and phone calls between Rafal Novak and his Polish lover, Anna Ivanovich, with Catherine completely unaware of her role in what turned out to be a love triangle. The accused spent months leading detectives on a false trail, creating fake profiles for the girl on adult websites and sending her messages from a supposed mysterious lover. Following the verdict, the parents of the young woman who lost her life, Catherine Wells Barr, called for stricter immigration controls. Philip and Jane Wells Barr, who have separated after the tragic loss of their daughter, stated that Rafal Novak, convicted of assaulting his wife in Poland, would not have been allowed entry into the UK if the immigration rules were as stringent as those in the United States of America. They blamed the European Union and stated that the UK needs to tighten its entry measures for foreign nationals. Jane Wells Barr, 46, said, "People coming into this country are not checked. We didn't know Rafal had been charged with assault when he was in Poland. I'm absolutely certain our government needs to wake up and stop allowing such negative elements like Rafal Novik to roam freely in the country." Family members of Catherine Wells Barr wept in court as the sentence was announced. The three perpetrators showed no emotion. The criminal trio received life sentences without the possibility of parole. Now, they have their whole lives ahead to ponder over criminal schemes, but without any chance to put them into practice. After the verdict was announced, the victim's mother spoke her final words, describing her daughter. "She was a beautiful girl, absolutely beautiful. We were so proud when she earned a first-class degree from the University of Bath Spa. She was determined, hardworking, beautiful. We don't know how to go on without her. She had so much to live for, so much potential for a happy life. But she was robbed, her life taken away. We were robbed." Thanks for watching. Guys, that was Oliver with you. Subscribe to the channel, there are many shocking stories ahead.